It took them 4 years to make this marvel. 5,000 milliwatts of power in your pocket is like having a nuclear power plant in your hand. Nothing like this has ever existed in the world, and I'm glad I can show it to you on this channel. And although I have doubts about whether it's really the best audio quality I've ever heard in my life, I'll explain why later, and I'll compare it with flagships from other brands. I am sure that this is the most powerful portable audio player with Android in history. It's called FiiO M27. It's fresh out of the oven, and I admit that I like it. And at the same time, it makes me sad to be the first Spanish channel to review this unique device in the world. And it makes me sad because I think audio isn't taken care of as much as other technologies. It's underrated. We give more value, for example, to the screens our eyes see than to the audio our ears pick up. It's like a smartphone that's thicker than usual, but inside it has components dedicated to audio that are very different. Just so you get an idea, this makes it hundreds of times more powerful than any Android or iPhone smartphone that exists today. Holding this makes you feel powerful. But before I tell you about its sound and share with you the song I've enjoyed the most with this beast, let's talk about the design. First of all, are you seeing this leather case it comes with? Plus that thermal gel that helps lower the temperature of this beast? I have to say, for releasing this video so quickly, the unboxing you're seeing is just of the player and the case, since the official packaging includes several more accessories, all included in the price, which is appreciated. And the most important thing, besides the case, is that it comes with a bag so you can carry it around. And also a stand with a fan to give it even more cooling and to be able to connect it to the power supply. Later I'll explain why the battery has an extra function that doesn't degrade and is also removable. But are you already seeing the FiiO M27 in all its glory? This is the black aluminum model. The titanium version costs more, is heavier, and doesn't cool as well, so I recommend this one. I really like the back part. It's fiberglass and changes color and shape depending on the light. I would even like to see high-end smartphones, whether from Samsung, iPhone, or others, that dare to make backs as original as this FiiO M27. The frame sticks out and is ergonomic, even with its thickness. I think they've done a great job. They've worked on this beast for 4 years, and you can see why. This player, considered a portable desktop unit, includes an optical output port, a charging port with USB Type-C, a hold switch, a data and charging Type-C port, as well as a desktop mode switch and another USB host port. It also features coaxial input-output ports and supports 2 micro SD cards, up to 2 terabytes each, totaling 4 terabytes plus its built-in 256 gigabytes of memory. Absolutely crazy. On the downside, the card can be removed in another way without having to use the pin. Also, it seems that the black paint on this aluminum can scratch relatively easily, so you have to protect it well with the case. That's what I recommend to you. On the side, it has an antenna for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and on the top part, you can see the geometry, which is very well designed to avoid ghost touches. It has a 22mm dial with great range and feels excellent. Also includes 3 audio inputs, 3.5 MeMe, 4.4 MeMe balanced, and 6.35 MeMe. On the other side, in a hexagonal shape, are the buttons for skipping tracks, play pause, and a customizable button you'll see later. Also in the shape of an arrow and with a kind of metal mesh. It has those red, green, blue LEDs, which are also customizable, and you'll see them next. And now, let's get to what's inside this beast, exclusively for you, the FiiO M27. The aluminum version weighs a little over 500 grams, and the titanium version weighs over 600 grams. I've tested smartphones, as you know, that even weigh more than this player. So rather than a portable player, it could be classified as portable. The screen is a 5.99-inch full high definition, fully laminated in-plane switching display at 60 Hz. Once again, it doesn't include a brightness sensor. I really wish some company that makes these kinds of players would finally add a brightness sensor. The brightness is relatively good and it basically lacks any kind of customization. Still, it's great for enjoying content. And even though it's not designed for watching movies, for example, the covers in any kind of app are going to look relatively good. And you'll even avoid that flicker, that pulse width modulation that organic light emitting diode screens usually have so your eyes won't get tired. And, well, it's a relatively good screen for a high-res audio player. And now let's move on to what's inside. Can you see how the red, green, blue lights look? They give it an aggressive look, and as you can see, they're adjustable. Not only, for example, when doing certain effects, but also the intensity as well as the color. You can choose whichever color you want. And the good thing is that FiiO usually updates their devices quite often. So don't be surprised if they add even more customization options for these red, green, blue lights in the future. It uses a Snapdragon 778G with 8 GB RAM and 256 GB storage expandable up to 4 TB. Does it have stock Android 13? The main thing is the audio chips, which make this device expensive. I'll discuss them later. But as you can see, for example, when running everyday apps like Instagram, it does it very well. It runs very smoothly. It's likely one of the fastest players available right now, even for gaming, as you can see. Isn't that its purpose? But you should know that its processor is powerful enough to handle these tasks that are usually seen on smartphones. But, as I said, the most important thing about this device, obviously, is its sound. How does this FiiO M27 sound? First of all, it's quite thick because it has an extremely thick battery. We're talking about a 9,200 milliamp battery, and it's also very well passively cooled with graphene. I think this was a problem with FiiO's previous flagship, and they've fixed it with this one, with a lot of passive cooling. It can last you around 7 to 9 hours or so of continuous audio playback, depending on the volume and which output you're using. Also, if you connect it in desktop mode, FiiO has a patent that prevents the battery from discharging and wearing out while it's connected to the desktop. So this will make the battery last longer. And something else I really like is that it can be removed, which makes it pretty easy, for example, when you need to replace it. And as you can see, the software it has, the interface is very similar to others. FiiO, as you know, I've tested nearly all of them here. I like that with the hold function, you can choose which buttons stay active and which don't. I also like the double tap wake feature. It's very useful. Its power performance is where it truly excels. It features ultra-high gain up to 5,000 milliwatts when powered, an unprecedented level for a portable player. The max gain without being plugged in is 2,250 milliwatts, which is still a lot. It decodes music at 768 kilohertz at 32 bits with native direct stream digital 512, plus it has all the audio codecs. And Bluetooth comes with Bluetooth 5.4. But even so, I recommend, especially to get the most out of this kind of device, to connect them by cable, because that's where you can really take advantage of the power of this beast. The interface is nearly identical to other FiiO devices we've reviewed, but this is FiiO's flagship model, offering the best features and smoothest experience. Therefore, this is aimed at a very specific niche. If you want to get started in the world of audiophile music, not long ago I made a video about both devices, both the player and the headphones. They're cheaper and, in my opinion, offer a better value for money to get started in this world. Still, the FiiO M27 is in a league of its own, FiiO's best product yet. And it's the most powerful portable player currently available on the market. Hey, so what have I tested this beast on? I've tested the FiiO M27 with the Sennheiser High Definition 82800S and FiiO FT7. And before I tell you how it sounds and what internal chips it has that make it so powerful, I've also compared it with other high-end players, like the Evaso DX 340. The review is also on this channel and was the first in Spanish. In fact, I have to say that this Evaso is less powerful, but in terms of musicality, the layering, the clarity, the spaciousness, the richness, it's a bit less analytical maybe, and I like that because you can enjoy it a little more. Musically, I've preferred the Evaso, though I still believe music is very personal. Everyone can like a different concept, something more analytical, something more musical, warmer, colder. At this point, I think Evaso does a little better in this regard. In terms of quality, in terms of quantity, in other words, power, there's no doubt here, it's objective. The FiiO M27 is the most impressive thing to hit the market. But anyway, if you have any doubts, I invite you to watch the video I made about the Evaso DX 340. Now then, how does this FiiO M27 sound? Here's the big thing, because it includes a dual ES 9039S Pro digital to analog converter. It's absolutely insane. It also features new crystal oscillators and a patented FiiO amplifier circuit. I think that's what makes it so powerful, plus its fast heat dissipation. All this makes it an absolute audio monster. For more technical specifications, check the link in the video description for full details. I want to discuss something more personal, what it feels like to listen. For example, the layers are quite pronounced. It's a bit more analytical maybe than other players compared to Evaso's competitors, also hi-fi. You can really tell when the music isn't of very good quality, so I especially recommend listening to free lossless audio codec music, or at least 320 kilobytes per second. I've watched series, I've watched movies, I've played video games. Obviously, I haven't just listened to music. It can drive any headphones over 300 ohms without any problem. The details, the clarity, the separation of ranges, whether it's bass, mids, or highs, are perfect or almost perfect. And even though, as I said, it's a bit more analytical than other players, I think those of you who like this kind of thing, the most analytical sound for monitoring, for example, are really going to like it, because it's the power of a desktop digital to analog converter, but in a portable form. Hey, and how much does this FiiO M27 cost? Well, you can see it right here. $1,799 for the black aluminum version. And if you want the titanium version, it would cost $2,199. As I said earlier, I don't recommend it because it's heavier, more expensive, and has worse heat dissipation. My conclusion after having tested it for quite a while is that it's an unparalleled beast. Anything I've thrown at it, it's been able to handle without any problem. Also, in terms of design, I like it with those arrow-shaped red, green, blue lights, and it doesn't feel as heavy as it looks. Also, the cooling issue it had in the previous version has been fixed. And with all those battery settings, you can even remove it in desktop mode, so you can make it so the battery doesn't charge, and therefore, it doesn't wear out. You're going to have an audio device for many years, so if you're a connoisseur of the best audio in the world, this new FiiO M27 is absolutely insane for your ears. You're going to like it and you'll be able to enjoy it for a very long time. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. I love reading your messages. Subscribe and like if you haven't already so I can keep recording. The most unknown, most powerful, and most impressive devices in the world in places with unique natural surroundings. And I want to thank all of you who keep supporting my unique way of making videos. You know I'm sharing that great song on my Telegram, and I'll see you in the next video. Greetings and see you soon.